Oh, you're an ally, are you? Well, what does your triggered ability do, huh? Hello, folks. Phil Gallagher, aka ThrabenU, here for another Legacy video. And I just got back from a Thanksgiving trip. I'm tired. I'm going to have some fun today. I'm going to use a dealer's choice donation deck list to play with an allies list. I don't expect this deck to be good. It did a 2-4 finish in, I think, a Legacy challenge, and I saw it at the end of one of Joe Dyer's articles in the Spice column. I have added some extra rainbow colored lands to the mana base, but otherwise I have not changed anything here. And this is going to be one of those times where you might need to read a lot of cards from this deck, because almost all of them are new and from the Avatar set. So let's transition into an immediate ad read. Today's video is sponsored by Moxfield.com, and if you want to see what all of these allies do and find my deck lists for every single Legacy video, please consider checking them out. My profile has all of them, and every video description includes a link to my deck for that video. All right, now we don't need to do that. After round one, we are in there. So, going over the general idea, the various allies have an ability that says whenever this creature or another ally enters, you do something. And a bunch of our smaller allies are going to get bigger as we play more allies. And some of these are basically going to serve as lords that scale up. Others of them are going to turn our allies into mana dorks and allow us to continuously power out allies. And our hope is that we just keep scaling and scaling and scaling, and we have an overwhelming board presence quickly. This is a land light deck at 20 lands, and it has a whopping 36 creatures in it. So our hope is that we just fully overpower our opponents, and if we can get Katara the Fearless into play, we will end up doubling up all of our various ally triggers. And if we can make our allies have protections from our opponent's creatures, and a bunch of our creatures just keep scaling up, hopefully we can put some wins up with a true aggro deck today. This is not so much on disruption. Now, I will say we are relatively light on card advantage. We don't have something busted like Tamiyo or the One Ring here. So we are going to be light on our end game. We do have a bunch of extremely situationally strong allies, and since the allies keep triggering for other allies, a Tuk-Tuk Scrapper can get pretty gross as games go long, assuming you're still alive and you didn't need something like a Meltdown. We have an Oblivion Ring ally. We have like our Eidolon of the Great Revel style ally, which I know some people in my Discord are super excited for. And then there is also our Graveyard Hate ally that we are playing in addition to Leyline of the Void. Although this one does also kind of work as card advantage as well if you exile allies from your own graveyard. So with that being said, let's go ahead and get into it, folks. If you need any Magic cards, please consider checking out my sponsor. TOA has been great to me. I like them both as a content creator they are supporting and as a customer. So if you're looking for some cards, use promo code ThrabenU, let them know that I sent you, and you always get free shipping as well. Alrighty, let's battle. Oh, fascinating. My opponent has revealed a Gigantha companion, which is relatively uncommon. I'm going to take the time to play Aether Vial. I've gone on record saying this plenty of times. I do not particularly believe that Aether Vial is a playable legacy card anymore. Its day has come and passed. Notably, we do have a ton of rainbow lands for the purposes of allies. Arid Mesa. I don't know what my opponent is doing. It might be something like Burn. Another land. Sure. So the way that we're going to do this here is play Cavern, put it on ally, go green and white for the Earth King's Lieutenant, and then go bam, and have the Earth and ally enter as well, and we'll scale up our creatures. And then the hope is that I draw a 2-mana ally next turn so that I can play Katara and then double up all of my various triggers. There's a Swords to Plowshares. Another Plateau. Goblin Bombardment. So maybe we are Gigantha Energy? And we'll drop a land. Do I just want to play this so I get this for free next turn? I think that's just an awkward use of my mana. So Earthen Ally is already 4 power. Opponent's at 15. And then how much is it to... Yeah, okay. So we are Goblin Bombardment, Gigantha Energy. How much is it to make the ally? It is 5. Voice of Victory. Sure. So my creatures are not like the most vulnerable. And just in terms of ratios, I do statistically want to leave this at 2. Hey, but these specific allies don't grow or anything. I don't have bonuses for making allies right now. My opponent, if I attack with a 3/3, could go block and throw Voice of Victory, at which point I'm trading Voice of Victory for a 3/3. I think I am okay with that. Going in. Opponent just takes it. Then I will go ahead and Earthen Ally. And we can potentially Earthbend at 7 mana. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. So we can potentially Earthbend. So my opponent's gonna mobilize. And I imagine, yeah, my opponent's just gonna throw those. Now that they've done that, I'll activate. I will play the guide. I could block and trade with Amped Raptor. So my opponent could block first strike and then throw at this body. I'm kind of interested in this body, though. I think I'm just going to block Voice of Victory. And we do also have the ability to balance our allies if I really, really, really need them. Glimmer Lens. Sure. This is all fine. We're going to leave this at 2. File is not what I am looking for. So I can attack with enough stuff that my opponent needs to block. I can also Earthbend and get a 5/5, but that 5/5 will be tapped. So I think I am just turning friends sideways here. Yeah? Ooh, it is Felia. This is acceptable. Opponent throws Felia here. They want to trade with my Earthen Ally. They take 2. I could save this. I think I will. And I think I'm just happy to see the Felia gone. Then I will throw this down again. Play out a vial. Margins are tight here, and the Goblin Bombardment is not helping. Goblin Bombardment Voice of Victory is really strong against my creature-based deck here. Basically, if this makes it around the table and I rip an ally that has a triggered ability, I probably just go fucking wild. My opponent gets the Glimmer Lens trigger of drawing a card. I think I just don't block. Maybe blocking a warrior token is fine. Maybe blocking the Voice of Victory is fine, actually. Yeah. In an attempt to shut off Voice of Victory Goblin Bombardment nonsense. Although I guess there's some timelines where my opponent throws a bunch of tokens, kills the Katara, and then this doesn't kill Voice of Victory anymore. Okay, looks like damage is just... Or no, that's first strike damage. Okay, damage is fully just going through. Opponent is choosing to cycle now. I think I like doing that in combat still. Alright, sure. Guide of Souls. Yeah, it seems like this turn could have been sequenced tighter by my opponent. So this is my 1 at 2. I will leave that there. I will take this one up to 1. So my opponent needs to chump block here, or otherwise kill one of these. Send it. It is Felia again, which is annoying. And this is where not having card advantage is a little rough. Like, I could technically slow the game down and attempt to make a 1/1 white ally. Alright, opponent is going to take 2 here. Go to 3. Another Amped Raptor could be very, very, very scary for me. Are we looking at into another Amped Raptor? Sure. This one will give them energy, but not another card. And that's just 2 first strikers that get in the way of my nonsense. So I don't love that. Felia might just blink my Aether Vial on 2. There's the card draw. No, they're blinking the lens. Sure. I think I just let all of this go through and attempt to ambush my opponent with an extra creature at end of turn. I'm at 8. I want like an ally that gives me some damage. Other Sunbaked Canyon, and that's Gigantha to hand, that's fine. Belia returns Whoozy What's It. Glimmer Lens, making the extra body. I do this. Say yes, do this. I'm real close here. I think I will go to 2 and 3 with these. That is another legendary creature, unfortunately. I think this is the point where I get overwhelmed and lose. The first strike here is incredibly awkward. I guess all of these need to be blocked or otherwise be dealt with. But I suspect my opponent can just go block, 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 throw everything at my face, and I die. Let's make them do it. This is already 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Ooh, they're trying to kill creatures. All right, are we going to damage? All right, we are going to damage. I'll call it good there. So now we'll just kind of see what they do in combat. Re-equip the Glimmer Lens. So they get the attack trigger, they get to draw a card. They're blinking Glimmer Lens. So this is 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. So I do need to activate this. Say yes, put this in. Then I do need to block something. 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 is fine. Let's block a non-first striker here. I'd like to keep this alive, or at least attempt to, more accurately. Oh, fuck. The Goblin Bombardment to face. I didn't count that. Fuck. I did need to block Felia. No, that doesn't matter, right? Because there's just 3 more damage amped up here. Yeah, they've got it either way. Could not capitalize. GG. So let's do our Oblivion Ring creature. I don't care about the Graveyard Hate one. First strike is just like legitimately not crazy. I didn't get enough of the allies that triggered things. The protection to force through damage would have been very strong as well. The Great Divide Guide was close to doing cool things with Earth and Ally. That said, I still think I'm gonna do this. This gives me more reason to tick up to 3 as well. Yeah. These are lands and spells. So I probably want to play the Blademasters before the healer. The Vigilance here seems like a pretty big deal. Cavern on ally and Earthen ally. Arrakis is not relevant versus my current allies, so that's good. Trample is cool. I think I'm interested in the Vigilant attacker, though. I actually just want to hit another land so that I can double spell next turn. Like getting my ally lord in play and dropping Blademaster in the same turn seems real. Then hopefully I get a lot of aggressive bodies and can use this to try to finish off the game. Or, sorry, rather, some of this is going to be 2 turns from now. Ajani is annoying. Am I holding back through that forever? Seems like no. You name ally. The 3rd point of toughness matters on this, so it doesn't trade with a cat warrior. Yeah. This gets better the longer I wait to play it, though. Send him. Wow, opponent just takes it all to face. That's unexpected. Is there just a Goblin Bombardment coming this turn? Like, that's the plateau for it? That's pretty gross if that's the case. Ocelot Pride. Sure. Not trying to force the transform on Ajani. Just getting in the air. So this whole Ocelot Pride Guide of Souls thing is now starting. Opponent has Ajani bounce available. There's my 4th land drop that I wanted to be able to double spell this turn. Blademaster, Blademaster. Everybody is big. Alright. Always yield to those. Okay, I can't say always yes to that right now, apparently. And then this on top. Just a few triggers. Combat. Super good with that attack. Planeswalker is problematic. I think I have enough other scaling stuff that like this could leave play and I wouldn't hate it. Alright, math is for blockers, you figure it out. It's like they're going for losing 2 cats to kill one of my scaling creatures. That means that I'm connecting for a very respectable amount. Opponent's at 4. They don't have the red permanent yet. Alright, they do have Felia. Alright, Amped Raptor is the red permanent. That's not great. I don't want Amped Raptor to hit a creature here. Amped Raptor hit a creature. So now that's big enough to kill the, what is this, Kazandu Blademaster. And this is also the City's Blessing. Yep. Now my opponent can make the Ocelot Pride fly, and they can also Felia blink out my larger Blademaster. Honestly, blinking an Ajani is also not crazy, but I think you just blink the larger Blademaster. What are we doing? We are blinking the larger Blademaster. Ocelot Pride flies. I can block Felia. My opponent might bounce it. That's fine. I do have first strike here. Alright, they don't bounce Felia. And now Ocelot Pride stuff happens. But so does my Blademaster triggering. Just think their triggers are outpacing my triggers, though. Triggers? This is bounceable. That's kind of good. This is not yielded in a way that lets me always yes to this. This is very strange. So my opponent has 4 power worth of first strike. It's not super worth attacking into 2 amped raptors. I think that means that I am chilling for a turn. My opponent should Caracas bounce Katara at end of turn. They got that one. I think my opponent should easily win from here. Voice of Victory. I get to kill my larger friend. Oh no, they're just going to go to face. Okay, that'll do it too. Alright. We played a reasonable game of Magic the Gathering, and what I was doing was just not enough. GG. Okay, I don't have one of my 8 or 12 1-drops if we count Aether Vial, but hopefully that's fine. I have kind of a combo here. So this, if it triggers the second time you draw a card, and I have something that immediately will cause it to start triggering for the second time. Let's see what we're playing against. There's a lot of Is It Delver online, or really Is It Tempo right now. Delver doesn't tend to actually be in it. That is just sorcery speed Surveil Land, which is a little weird. Because, like, now I get to do that, and I don't even need to cast a spell on my turn. Oh, hell yeah. So do that. Play the Free Blade. It is Force of Willable. I was trying to see if I would be Wastelanded. That's why I did not play Cavernous Souls on turn 1. Yes. Another Polluted Delta, or rather the first Polluted Delta. Another Katara. Cool. Ally. Which way do I want to do this? I think I am good doing this in the way that produces a large, scary creature faster. Alright, can I always... Yeah, I cannot always yes to these for some reason. I suppose there are times where you would not want to put a +1/+1 counter on your creature, but they are probably few and far between. And I suspect that my turn is just Katara the Fearless to just really push the aggro, and then the following turn can probably play the Voyager. We do have double basic lands here. Fuck. Oh, I wonder if I can just kill my opponent next turn. Yeah, I think they're dead, right? +2/+2, 8, dead, can be countered. Allies are the greatest. I want to, like, start talking shit and be like, oh my wamo shinderu, or however exactly it is pronounced. But, you know, 5% of the time, or whatever, they just kill me here by cycling something immediately. Let's see if there is anything interesting in the exile pile here. So, for example, we might see Tamios. That's a Thassa's Oracle that's not in the pile. There's Quantum Riddler. That is an option. Main deck Duress. Cavernous Soul's not in the pile. Alright, am I dead now? Not dead now. Fantastic. So, blue, green, white, Katara, double triggers, manually click yes 4 times, 8 damage on board. Opponent needs some sort of Fatal Push style card to save them here, which they do not have, and we steal a game from Doomsday here, which is, I think, a big deal. Mai is very powerful here as a way to limit some of the post-Doomsday piles. What do the rest of these do? Exile things. Don't know that I care. Exile cards from graveyard. Don't know that I care. Destroy artifacts. Don't know that I care. So the protection is probably the least relevant thing, and that is also just the slowest creature in my deck in terms of the impact that it has on a game. So I am good with this. That game might be very different if my opponent does not sorcery, speed, turn 1, surveil land. My opening hand has one... No, I do have 2 lands. I saw creature, and I'm like, that is a creature. That is not a creature card. So I have I have a wasteland. I have, in theory, with double triggers. I say in theory because this is a wasteland and doesn't contribute towards this. I'm going to call this one a reluctant keep. Opponent played in a way last time that allowed me to wasteland and then corrected by getting basics afterwards. Oh, wow. Opponent is on 4. That's very aggressive. Okay. That is a flooded strand. So if they want blue and black, it has to be underground. See, are you just getting blue, which does not contribute a pip towards casting Doomsday? That is a personal tutor. So it is possible that they have Black Land and Dark Ritual as their remaining cards, in which case I don't interact well with them. I'm fine just showing that here. Do you have the literal perfect 4-card hand? There's the basic swamp, there's the Dark Ritual, and there's the Doomsday. So it is both basic lands, Personal Tutor, Dark Ritual, to go off on turn 2 through Wasteland. And I don't think their life total is going to be low enough that is a problem. So I suspect that they win this one on their mulligan to 4. Alright, my opponent has made their pile. Let's check out what all is in exile, see if there's anything interesting here. There's another Thassa's Oracle. I don't see the Quantum Riddler, so that's either boarded out or in the pile. Okay. How many Street Wraith style cards are there? The Street Wraiths and Edge of Autumns aren't there. Is there anything better than playing Mai? Like, do I need to play this and attempt to grow it? I don't know that there's anything better than Mai. Alright. Oh, Mai's actually symmetrical. That is a player. That is not just my opponent's. I am a lot less excited about that card now that I realize that. That is fetch land past the turn. Am I just wastelanding to disrupt the order of my opponent's pile here and hoping for the best? Kind of into that. Like, my opponent has 0 cards in hand, and that forces the order to be random on the remaining cards. Yeah. Wasteland you. So opponent will be at 8 with 3 random cards in library. So if I play this, I get in for 3 this turn, opponent is at 5, and then I will have lethal next turn. Alright. So I think this comes down to, is Thassa's Oracle the top card of my opponent's library? I think we're 33% to just be dead immediately. Opponent's at 5. Is Thassa's Oracle the top card? Damn. Alright, we get a chance on the play. My opponent's 4-card hand was obviously bananas. So this plays Vial on 1, and maybe Wastelands. Then plays Blademaster on 2, Vials in Blademaster on 3, and casts a mediocre card. This is fine. That's all this is. I'm going to keep it. I think we lose the average game playing this deck. So I think I'm going to hope for the non-average game where Wasteland is actually relevant. Cavern on Ally and Vial. Flooded Strand. If they need black mana, Wasteland gets it. They need black mana, but it's a Dark Ritual, so they get to Doomsday on 1. Oh, okay, they made their pile. They have cycled a Street Wraith. They have played out a Lion's Eye Diamond. I think that Lion's Eye Diamond just means that they are good. That should be their triple blue, even if I wasteland them. I'm still going to wasteland them and try. But presumably, this is just blue mana, cast cantrip, crack LED, and they win. This is a pretty easy consider pile. Yep. Cycle with Edge of Autumn, 0 cards remaining, and that's the Thassa's Oracle. Alright, we don't get to beat the higher end Doomsday cards, although we did have, a 66% chance of winning. The Thassa's Oracle just happened to be on top in the other game. GG. Alrighty, opening hand is totally fine and good. We'll name Ally, play out a Vial. And this Vial gets to instantly put in a creature next turn, since we do have the 1-drop. So I get to play a Free Blade and a Blademaster next turn. There's a Tamiyo. Good Magic the Gathering card is good. Voyager as well. Okay. Name ally. Activate Vial. Yes. There's Free Blade. Scale it up. Attempt to cast a scaling creature. And it is a Daze. That's fine. This game is not going to be slow enough that I get to just sit back and dump everything in off of Vial. Tamiyo is way too threatening. I need to scale up creatures so that Tamiyo's plus does not eat me alive. And I need to end the game before the clues start becoming online. Eluded Delta. Vial goes up to 2. And there does become a question of which card do I cast. I think I do the thing that I think I cast the thing that draws me cards. So yeah. Triggers. Yes. Gain life. Send in. Actually, it's a mistake to send in. I wanted to do this at sorcery speed on the off chance that I draw a 1-drop creature. Fatal Push on the Voyager. Opponent is not willing to give me a card here. Blademaster. Trigger. So my creatures are outside of range of Bowmaster Ping, which is nice. And they are starting to scale up. Even though I have more 2s, I might just be putting this in uncounterably immediately because it guarantees scaling on 2 different creatures. Basic Island, and we're chilling. Yes to this. Wasteland doesn't do anything right now. Send it. Fatal Push. Yeah, we've got some triggers. Yes, yes, yes. Pro Black. Fizzle Fatal Push. Opponent takes 7 and is down to 9 with a relatively large amount of power in play and some ability to force through blockers. Let's see what they've got. If I draw any ally, I just get to ignore that as a blocker. And I have the ability to Wasteland Underground Sea as well. So any ally, please. That's an ally. I believe that I Wasteland this so it cannot be picked up via Daze. So there's an ally. Opponent needs Force of Will blue card. They don't have it. Yes, we'll go Pro Black. Send in. So this forces the Tamiyo to block. My opponent takes 6 and goes to 2. So drawing another ally next turn would be cool. I'm not sure that I need it. I don't. GG. So we are playing against some sort of Dimir tempo deck. Seeing Daze's multiple fatal pushes. There might be some Nethergoyfs here, but we could be just bigger than that. And we could be expecting things like Kaito and Baleful Strix instead. Oh, that is a very interesting bird, whatever that noise just was. So this gets Tamiyos and Barrowgoyfs out of the way. This is fine. Eating cards from the graveyard is okay. The matchup might be slow enough that this is interesting. The rest of the stuff I don't think I want. I have shown this trick. It is admittedly a good trick, though. I'm looking for X1 allies. This is kind of one for Bowmaster purposes. The Earthen ally is interesting if I keep Great Divide Guide. I don't know, maybe I don't do that. Maybe I do something that's like this. We are in unknown territory here in terms of playing with weird cards. This is a 1-lander. I think I say no to that. This is a no-lander. What if it was a 1-lander, though? I mean, spiking the land is kind of crazy. What's opponent doing? Opponent is keeping 7. I'll mulligan. Well, okay. I think I'm just going to hope that the first Aether Vial resolves and keep a hand that has the ability to dump in a bunch of 2-drops if the Vial works. I think if this Vial gets Thought Seized or countered, I'm donezo. The Wasteland does not contribute pips to either one of my creatures, but after going to 5, I don't think I get to keep 2 Aether Vials at the same time. Underground Sea. And a Ponder. If opponent shuffles on the Ponder, There's timelines where I just snap off the Wasteland and hope to draw another land. Trying to get a freebie. Ponder does not shuffle. I don't think I'll be doing that. I think we're just hoping for the best here. Okay. We passed the initial test of opponent does not have Daze and Force. Yeah, you can Wasteland my Wasteland. That's fine. Again, that does not contribute mana pips to any of my cards. What is blue and waiting to pay costs? Ooh. Ooh, don't love that. What if another Wasteland off the top, though? Alright. Name ally. Ah, they do have another land. That is unfortunate. Goodbye, Vile. Cavernous Soul's off the top. You gotta ask for it. You never get it if you don't ask for it. So if I play this one, it gets eaten by a Bowmasters, but I guess the same is true there. We passed the Daze test previously, or opponent already had the EE and didn't need to Daze. Oh, this one checks itself. Cool. Land drop 3? That's a goif. So is the plan first to strike wall? First strike wall is a little prone to blowout. That's a Force of Will. My 2/2 is not attacking. Goif is a 5/6. That's bad. We're playing a reasonable looking game of Magic for mulliganing to 5, but this is slipping quickly. So the graveyard should be revealing here. Okay, so this is less tempo-y and more mid-rangey. Kaito, Orcish Bowmasters, Brazen Borrower. The Brazen Borrower is very good versus my deck that is trying to accumulate counters. I think if I miss the land drop, I just concede. I think my opponent clearly has it. And, like, now we have a slightly better feel for their archetype. I think I'm okay with how I'm boarded. I am on the fence about this, mostly for the casting allies from my graveyard, well, I guess exile portion of it. Alright, deck. I know we're on like 20 lands, but give me something. The Wasteland's not great here. I think I am nevertheless keeping. I think I'm just getting rid of one of the healers, despite the healers being cast. I don't know, maybe I try to stack healers. Great Divide Guide into healer. Maybe I just need to get lucky and hit the mana pips that let me cast these. I think I just need to get lucky. Pass turn. Oh, I'd considered going down on Wastelands in constructing. Well, not constructing this deck. I didn't build this one. I copied this one. But I changed to just only white mana sources into 5-colored mana sources because I knew the constraints of this deck were going to be a little rough. That's a Tamiyo. I think I will take one draw step. And if I miss on my next draw step, I think I'm dead to Tamiyo. That card's good. You may have your clue. Basic Swamp. So my Wasteland's no good at disrupting those. I wouldn't Wasteland anyway. Alright. Still gonna pretend to be in it here. I think I play something that I don't particularly care about with the hope of maybe deploying multiple cards in the same turn that I play the Great Divide Guide. I don't even think you counter or remove this one if you're the opponent. Cracking the clue. Alright. So we do a drain. But this game is not about life totals. This game is about resources. My opponent is winning on the mana front and the card advantage front and the cards in hand front. Alright, they are going to remove it. And Tamiyo doing Tamiyo things. Okay. Could have been worse. So now I can't play most of these cards because Wasteland. I would really like to play this and then use mana immediately in the same turn, but to attempt to stay on curve here, I'm going to play this. This is the one that lets me deploy these 4 cards that are currently stuck in my hand. Force of Will is obviously good there. Even if I draw another land, I can't double spell right now due to triple colored mana pips, kind of no matter how it ends up working out here. Blue token. I guess at least opponent is not hitting land drops, so the Tamiyo is not transforming. I think the Tamiyo picking these cards up is a total disaster for me. Alright, so let's begin with a scaling threat. Again, this one puts a counter on itself, so Bowmasters does not kill it immediately. We do have Tamiyo flip to worry about. That's a Ponder. This will be card draw number 2. I know that my opponent wants additional mana. Any additional mana source means that they can crack the clue token. Do you transform Tamiyo? Well, we don't see it yet, but opponent did not shuffle with Ponder. Okay, there is the mana source. I honestly think my opponent should just wasteland a color source rather than transform Tamiyo. But I think this is one of those times where it might not matter which decision you make. I think it is just good either way. Okay. We choose ally. I do this again. 7 cards in hand. Counterspell likely, but that might mean days. Does mean Force of Will. We traded for a Murktide Regent. I guess, take that as a win. Doesn't quite feel like a win. My opponent has 6 cards in hand plus 3 Tamiyo clues. We're in trouble. But they don't have more mana. So at least these are somewhat locked down. Bowmasters is a thing. I think I just deal with that. This turns so much better if I can deploy 1 extra creature here. Alright, triggers. Yeah. So I get pinged. This is a first strike vigilant creature, so that helps out a little bit here. Opponent's just gonna absorb. The Bowmasters is worth 8 life worth of blockers, plus 1 of my Earth's King's lieutenants. Blue 4. Alright, it begins. So I really need to kill the Tamiyo before Tamiyo brings back Fatal Push. I will have 1 less power than it looks like here. Fuck. I think I now concede. That's Tamiyo that gets to bring back Force and Fatal Push, 4 clue tokens in play. Yeah, I don't think I'm going to pretend like I'm playing Magic from here. GG. So, I can keep a 1-land Aether Vial hand that goes crazy if I hit a land, so about a third of the time. I think I haven't been hurt in a while doing this. I believe that this is a mulligan, but this league is not going well. I don't think what we're doing is a high enough power level here. So I am just going to keep something where if everything goes right, which is my opponent not having Force of Will and I draw a land, that I just win the game. We have been paired against Doomsday, and we've seen how that goes, so I probably lose. Delta. And it is a tempo Doomsday deck, and I don't have the follow-up land. Scalding Tarn. We're just going to yield to that. Opponent is casting another Tamiyo. All right. You are legally allowed to make that play. I don't know if they clicked on the wrong card or if they're trying to get Threshold. They're trying to get enough cards in the graveyard to Murktide Regent. Are we not Doomsday? Playing Consider for some other weird-ass reason like Uro? Murktide Regent? Sure. Cycling Lorien revealed. Okay. So the Consider is just to fuel graveyard nonsense rather than as a part of the traditional, like, Doomsday kill. Alright. Opponent is out there with some spice. Booting Mandrills is way, way less scary than Murktide Regent, though. So I'll take that. I think this one is still recoverable if I draw land. And I did. I can't put this one in immediately. Use ally. I need to vial this one in next turn. Yeah. This is dazable. This is forcible. I have 1, 2, 3, 4 mana next turn. I'm taking 4 here, and my opponent gets a clue. Their removal options are probably not great. Like, their plan is probably counter stuff. They could have Dismembers. They could have some of the blue enchantments that remove abilities from creatures. Blue's fine. Land drop means that they can crack another clue. And they're going to do that. Sure. 4 cards in hand. Yes. Earth and ally into play. File to 2. Yes. Ally encampment. So my wasteland taps for mana of any color. I think we are going Bam, Katara with blue, green, white. Katara hits play. Activate this. Say yes. Blademaster. Trigger multiple times for Katara. So now I can do 3 damage on Tamiyo immediately. Seems fine. And I am not far away from this outpacing Hooting Mandrills. Tamiyo doesn't get to pick up Force of Will, so my stuff's going to keep resolving. And we can maybe start thinking about earthbending a wasteland. That Force Alright, opponent is getting forced back a different way. Cameo pluses. I think I need to set a draw step stop here. I think I might be wastelanding my opponent. Okay, it's a Murktide region. I did not want to see that. Alright, now I don't need to wasteland them off of Hardcast Force of Will. Yikes. Alright, we'll see what I can do about that. I'm going to leave at 2. I think the upside is very real. Nice. Okay. So that means that this increases its power by 2 at minimum. Probably by 4. I know that you have Force of Will. You can Force of Will this if you want. Opponent does not want. Yield to those. So that's a 5, which is really a 4. 4 with First Strike is really good. And this is really 6 with First Strike. Let's send at Tamiyo, see what my opponent has to say about that. Chump with a Tamiyo. Okay. Do I have enough to Earthbend? No, because I played Earthen Ally, but I think that's fine. There are a lot of times where I'm trying to go wide to get a kill. I think I'm good there. I think I am not wastelanding. The second Katara is awkward here. Hooting Mandrills doesn't really get to attack. The Murktide Regent might be able to. Is another Hooting Mandrills. Sure. Alright, Murktide is not attacking. Activate. Yes. Great Divide Guide. Scale up my creature. We're up to a 7/7. How big is the Earthbend? 5/5? Yeah. I think I'm going to say yes now. Ooh. That is pretty cool. So I get protection from blue and green. How much damage is this? If I attack with everything, I subtract 6 from this. So 2, 5, 8, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 20, 21, minus 6 is 15. So now I don't even need to think about the whole Earthbend thing. And I can add some extra damage in case I mathed wrong. So I know my opponent's got a Force of Will. They can force that if they want. Oh, 3? Yeah, I guess that makes sense. There's a split second where that just works. What a disgusting finisher this is. So trigger, scale up by 2. Yes, I'm pro blue. Yes, I'm pro green. Back, bacon, lettuce, tomato, directly. We did it. I did not expect to win this one. Kabira Evangel, baby. Let's go. So I would like my Oblivion Ring creature, and my one that exiles creature cards from graveyard seems reasonable as well. I am probably going to end up slowing down this game a little bit, which the healer obviously heals me, right? But maybe if my opponent is often attacking for chunks of 4 to 7, maybe this is not putting me over the top more than just removing the creature would. So let's do that out. Under slightly different circumstances, the Earthbend was just reasonable that game. I might just be slowing down my deck enough that I want to think about trimming some of those. I can also trim some Evangels. That was about the best possible use case for them. I don't know, maybe this 3/3 doesn't get through my opponent's 4/4s. Maybe this isn't good enough. Maybe I just keep the Evangel and keep a healer. If I do that, my curve is slightly worse. I'm incentivized to move Vial up to 3 for Jailer. If I keep this many Evangels, this is fine. I've been on the fence about the Boiling Rock Rioter a couple of different times. Okay, my hand has a Cavernous Souls. I think a couple of lands with Cavernous Souls means that this is probably a keep. I've got some scaling threats that can outpace Hooting Mandrills. Opponent says they're a big fan of the content. I told them they're in a video, and they said, I'm going to try to win this one. I hope you were trying to win the first one, too. And we've got a Hedge Maze. Junking Lorien revealed. It seems like my opponent's overall game plan is... I don't mind that at all. Anyway, it seems like their overall game plan is fill the graveyard quickly, use that to play an undercosted threat, and then Lorien Revealed and Tamiyo Clues can allow them to take over the games that go long. I'm conceptually into Blademaster here. Yep, and Beanstalk is another thing that is good as the game goes long. That's fine. If the Force of Wills aren't actually countering my cards, this is not actually all that bad. Here's a Blademaster. Again, with my opponent being in blue-green, their actual factual removal is probably not all that good. And I would love drawing the white 1-drop creature to round out my turn for next turn. After next turn, I'm good to double deploy spells. Got a Consider. Very fast Consider. Delta. Delta will be 5 cards in graveyard. So we are at play creature levels of cards in graveyard already, which is outpacing the the black firebending creature. 5/5 is not all that scary. That's a little weird. I think I don't want to do that. I think I just want to play healer into lieutenant next turn. Yeah. I think my mana is valuable and more valuable than their mana. Always yield. And I'm not really sure that their Murktide Regent can attack right now. Like, they hit me for 5, they get the first attack. I crack back for 5 at minimum, and it is likely much worse than 5 damage. We'll see where their turn goes, though. All right, they are cracking in. I'm at 15. There's a Tamiyo, and opponent passes. So here's a healer. Suspend. Sure. Seems good. Trigger. Yield to that. Cavern on, you guessed it, ally. Heal up a couple of friends here. What I don't want to see is Brazen Borrower on this. That's a pretty devastating tempo loss. That is a Daze to return a land to hand. Returning the Hedge Maze to use Hedge Maze as selection, and then we get a whole bunch of triggers here. So counter, drain opponent for 1. Got a 5/5 that gets to attack immediately. And it does have Vigilance, and I've got this chilling with Suspend. Opponent's at 11. There's the Hedge Maze coming back down. I don't know that it's going to be relevant, but I also do have the ability to do 5 mana and create a 1/1. But it's 5 mana plus tapping this. I don't know that that's super relevant unless I get the dude who turns these into mana dorks. Let's see. Oh, okay, opponent is going in. So I don't get to block the flyers, but I have a lot of damage and drain coming. I don't super care if they transform Tamiyo. Like, I think I just end up going to the face anyway, and taking at least half of their life total next turn through Tamiyo. Tamiyo picking up Suspend is maybe a little annoying, so I'll have to think about that. Tamiyo pluses. 5, 6, 7, 8, -3. I have 5 damage on board. Suspend goes down. Yeah. This is lethal? I believe this is just uncounterable lethal. So if I play Earth King's Lieutenant, that's another +1/+1 counter on each of these. That cancels out the Tamiyo. So I have 5, 6, 7, 8, plus a counter here, 9, then play a second body. Or I guess this order is better. Oh, yeah. Oh, so many triggers. Goodbye, Murktide. Hello, counters, and drain. Oh, yeah, and I didn't even factor the drain 2 into this. So there's green and uncounterable white. And that is enough for the GGs in chat. So we are now officially on board with the Allies deck after a couple of honestly tough pairings and some narrow losses. Let's see if we can get some play points back, huh? Alright, I think I'm going to believe this one and hope that my opponent does not lead on a basic land. I think we are hoping to play double Aether Vial backed by 2 Wastelands and just slowly ride this to victory, hopefully vialing in both of them. And we are going to play Cavern immediately as to not show Wasteland, because I really, really, really want to Wasteland a land. Odd Post. Fuck. Alright. That's Elvish Spirit Guide. There's Undercity Informer. And we could have removed this from the format previously, but we didn't. Isn't this fun? See if there's anything interesting in the build. Summoner's Pact is about the most interesting thing. Alright, you don't get to take a peek. We have 3 Leylines of the Voids that we can mulligan to, and I don't know that this is relevant here. And I technically have some things that can interact with Goblin, Charbelcher, and sideboard pivot creatures. I'm just not fast enough for this matchup. We're fully going to get rid of those. I think I'm going to get rid of Earth and Ally. And let's fill with a couple. Can this remove artifacts too? What do you remove? Artifact, creature, or enchantment with mana value 3 or greater. That's a lot of stuff. That can get like Belchers and Barrowgoyfs, but won't get, say, a Douthie Voidwalker. Hopefully that's fine. And do something like that. This has Leyline of the Void. It is an auto keep. I cannot compete with this deck in terms of its graveyard-oriented plan. The remainder of this hand is not overly exciting. Wasteland is about the best thing that I could do. There's Leyline. There's Cavern on Ally. My opponent kept a 7-card hand, so I am not overly hopeful. Maybe my opponent's deck having a bunch of Summoners packs and Pact of Negations means that they're a little clunkier in post-sideboard configurations. They have to take some of that stuff out. So I'll take you off land. I'll play an ally. Get my counter. That's a tapped land. That's another thing that I can wasteland. And I will do so over deploying another card. I just need to keep my opponent from getting to a pivot plan. Or, for that matter, to something that answers Leyline of the Void. But this is going against my desire to clock them as quickly as possible. That's not bad. I think I do the healer, though. So trigger. So weird that those don't give you an always yes option. 2 damage down to 11. Cabal Therapy can take the Earth Kingdom Jailer. That leaves me with the Lieutenant, which is the card that I'm playing next turn anyway. Yep. There's another Bog. So land drop, white and green. Play the Lieutenant, put a bunch of triggers on the stack. Send in for 6. If we die to a pivot plan, opponent is dead on board. If they don't have it, Cabal Ritual. 4 mana. Foundation Breaker on a Leyline of the Void. Opponent passes the turn. There's an ally. This is uncounterable. This will give me enough drain to easily have lethal. Any ally there is lethal through the 2/2. My opponent chump blocks this, and then there's 3 damage plus the rally plus the counters. Okay, so I have 3 Leyline of the Voids to mulligan to, and I was lucky enough to hit 1 and 2 Wastelands. None of those cards are named Leyline of the Void. Mulligan. None of those cards are named Leyline of the Void. Mulligan. None of those cards are named Leyline of the Void. My opponent is going to 4. Therefore can still easily kill me. I can try to keep Wasteland Cavern my Lieutenant and hope for the best, or I can mulligan towards one of 3 Leylines. Isn't this enjoyable? I think I'm going to keep here. I think I'm going to hope that they are mulliganing towards Foundation Breaker or a Force of Vigor, and then I just don't have the Leyline. But if they keep, like, land, Dark Ritual, other mana source, dude, I just die. So, you know. Hey, didn't happen. Wasteland you. No land. That does not mean no mana sources, though. Land on ally. There's a Bog. That's not a wasteland off the top, but it is interesting. I think I am getting my into play as quickly as possible, because I would like my with doubled triggers. Okay. My is legendary. My is legendary. Okay. Send in for 2. Opponent's at 8. Sorry, 18. I imagine I kill my opponent in 2 combat steps. I haven't mapped it out, but double Earth King's Lieutenant triggers probably is pretty gross. Dark Ritual, 4 damage. 14. Elvish Spirit Guide. There's a spy. I'm dead. There's Narcomoebas. Opponent is casting a Cabal Therapy. Going to 10. Name's Fairy Macabre. And then that is going to be a Dread Return on Thassa's Oracle. That puts my opponent to 6, and I lose. Alright. So that was a pretty terrible set of pairings. for my very fair creature deck. Pairing into Doomsday twice and Oops All Spells is not where we want to be. Overall thoughts on the deck list, despite that. This is a relatively well-constructed deck that is not Legacy power level appropriate. Like the Earthen Ally, Earthbend stuff is a very tough sell by Legacy standards. I think I drew a... No, I don't think I drew a single card off of South Pole Voyager in the entire league. There's some cool tricks in this deck. Like, doubling up the triggers on this is very aggressive. Doubling up the triggers on this for protection from effectively your entire team is cool. There's ways to steal games in here. I just think we're too slow for current Legacy. Like, we played against 3 different decks that have the potential to kill us on turn 1 or 2. We played against Tamiyo decks that are threatening the game immediately. And that's all we played against. So if you have a little more time to durdle, this is cool. Basically, well, nearly the entire deck is standard legal creatures, minus a couple of the older allies. So maybe you can screw around with this in another format and have a lot of fun. I don't know that Aether Vial is better than just playing a few more lands. Aether Vial is just a really tough sell in the format, and Aether Vial is something that is not uncounterable for Cavern of Souls purposes. It kind of accomplishes a similar thing, but if you are keeping, say, Cavern of Souls Vial as the primary thing that you are expecting to do, and the Vial doesn't resolve, you're in really bad shape. This card is neat. There were times where we didn't have ETB allies to make this pop off, but when this popped off, it was kind of crazy. And it was not uncommon for us to be putting 4 triggers on the stack at the same time. So if we do that and we turn it into 8 instead with Katara the Fearless, that's kind of cool. But I think that's where this deck falls kind of cool. I think if I was going to play it again, I'd turn one of these into a Leyline of the Void. I wasn't the most comfortable with how to utilize this card. And I might just play another Mai to have a snowball's chance at some of the combo matchups. And I would consider some Dismembers as well, just as early game interaction versus Tamiyo, because Legacy is currently Tamiyo, the format. But that was a good way to spend a couple of hours, even if the matchups were very, very unfavorable for us. So maybe you can try it out and get some better pairings than I can. Anyway, folks, I hope you have a great rest of the day. See ya!